FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is, it's 6/12/19, and we're almost halfway through June, and summer is looking good here for sure. Taking it easy a little bit. I'm off to New York tomorrow for my grandson's first birthday and for Father's Day, which I haven't spent Father's Day with my kids in too long. So it should be really fun, and shows the rest of the week will be kind of light. But don't forget, we are having a contest. Predict Bitcoin's price on my birthday, July 20th of this year. And you have to beat me. You got to get closer than I am. And you will win first prize, 25 silver. We're talking 90% silver, pre-1965, 25-cent pieces. They'll be either Liberty or Washington, George Washington quarters. And so right now they're trading each quarter is about $2.70 a piece. So you'll make just over $50 for the next 5 people who beat me and get close but don't win. You'll each get a silver pre-1965 dime, either a Liberty or a Roosevelt dime. So, hey, you got nothing to lose. The email address is kl@kerrylutz.com. Send in these entries. I got to get them really within the next 2 weeks. Once we get too close, once we're within a week, although with Bitcoin, who knows? Right now, Bitcoin broke 8,000 again. Looks like it's hit resistance point. Don't forget, we've got futures trading on this. But let's take a closer look at cryptocurrencies. We've got our good friend on with us, Taylor Letterman, analyst, and he's thinking that this thing's going to go past 10,000. Well, we will see about that one. But Taylor, it's great to have you back. So Bitcoin 10,000.
Yeah, that's what the feeling right now is. I think we still have some continuation in this rally that we've seen since the beginning of April. Looking at the charts right now, we wanted to see some momentum build up, and we got that sort of somewhat this week. And I still think we have 2 or 3 more days before we see Bitcoin actually make a bigger move. I think right now we're just starting to see the accumulation period once again, as Bitcoin was ranging between some levels below 8,000, getting back above that earlier today overnight. I think it's really going to help drive Bitcoin up closer to 10,000. But that's the level, that's the psychological level. Prior to that, we still have to make it over 9,000, right? So yeah, I think the move to 1,000 is potentially in the books, but we're still in sort of muddy waters.
Yeah. Well, so you think Bitcoin, though, has, what do you think is driving it now? I mean, were you seeing new buyers coming in the market? So all the people who bought it 19,000 have forgotten it and put it on the shelf, held onto it, or sold it if they had to. And now for the next phase, we've got a whole new bumper crop of Bitcoin buyers out there.
I don't think I think a lot of this is money that was already within the market or was sidelined on the market for some time being until we broke over 6,000, like again in that rally that we saw in April or beginning in April. What I think we're seeing right now is sort of just kind of the bulls on that rally kind of getting exhausted. So I think what's driving a lot of this is further adoption. We're seeing Facebook come out with their Project Libra, which they're about to announce their new cryptocurrency. Their global coin potentially is what it's going to be named over the next week or two. And so with that news, more adoption into the cryptocurrency, the idea of cryptocurrencies infiltrating everyone's day-to-day lives. So I think we'll start seeing more speculation, more drive towards your average investor, your average user of Facebook kind of becoming a little bit more interested in cryptocurrencies, which then Bitcoin being top dog kind of fuels that fire in Bitcoin. So I think there's just the adoption is kind of picking up pace, and we're seeing some more adoption through like Microsoft and some of these larger companies coming to terms and utilizing cryptocurrencies or at least blockchain technology more often and making more announcements and partnerships and so on. So a lot of that is kind of circulating back into Bitcoin.
And it looks like these proprietary cryptocurrencies where companies will, big companies, I think, will require their vendors to accept payment in their coin. So if you're like Boeing and you got 20,000 suppliers because you can use the crypto to tie in with the contract, not just smart contracts, but we're talking smart billing here, everything else, so that once the contract or the once it's been accepted, delivered, whatever, automatic payment in the company's currency, if you will, which is immediately transferable into dollars, okay, because the wallet format allows that. It's going to cut down, like a company like Boeing's transaction costs dramatically. Their accounts payable, they're not going to have accounts payable, and they'll be able to convert to their Boeing coin into dollars on demand. It's really not about the currency almost. It's about the savings, the efficiency more than just, hey, we've got our own coin.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot to that. And a lot of these companies, whether they implement their own or utilize one of the public blockchains out there, and the token that exists on it, I think there's a lot of opportunity for companies to cut costs, like you said, on the transaction, which many of them paying around 3% at least. Even if they're transacting between multiple currencies, they're paying the conversion fee on that as well. So all that adds up. And when you're talking about $1 billion transactions, 3%, 4%, 5% adds up quickly, especially when they're making their transactions daily. So with cryptocurrency, we can do like smaller micro payments. So as a vendor supplies them, they can make smaller transactions real time rather than building up accounts and having their books kind of be more flush. So there's a lot of benefits to these cryptocurrencies and utilizing them, whether it's a logistics business or manufacturing or mom and pop shop. There's going to be benefits, and some that we won't realize until it's like closer into mainstream adoption.
Yeah, and for instance, like every major company in the world has a problem with fraudulent invoices being submitted by companies that they never do business with, or by, for instance, corrupt employees who create a shell company and start paying the company. With the blockchain, all of that is going to be a thing in the past. I remember when I ran a small business in New York, I would get these bills for Yellow Page directory advertising that I had no idea what they were. It was totally fraudulent. And one time I was talking to the postal inspector. He said, yeah, you can't even believe how many millions of dollars flow in there because companies just pay them because they believe the invoice and they don't look any further. They have no controls and they just pay the invoice. And he said, we shut down the post office boxes, but no sooner do we shut down one box and a new one has opened up. And this will be the end of that. So for companies, for their own cash management, both for their receivables and their payables, there's no better way than the blockchain to check it out and to control it.
Right. And that's what you really, one of the big selling points for Bitcoin. And if people learn more about it, they become to understand that it's immutable and transparent. So the transactions that are occurring are unchangeable. You can't go back and change a transaction. Right? Once it happens. And it's transparent. So everybody can look at the blockchain, look at the ledger, and kind of visualize and see where transactions are flowing to and from and of how much. It allows this more transparent, trustless organization of these transactions. You don't have to necessarily trust the person that's sending money, whether the check is going to balance or whether they're going to go to PayPal and say this wasn't an actual transaction and they're ripping you off, but you're still paying, shipping, and handling. All these other things that come into kind of transacting with other people that you have to have some sort of trust with. Cryptocurrencies kind of have to pull away that trust, and you rely on the network. The trust is in the network itself.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder, like, how it's going to change. eBay would be a perfect one, or PayPal, to create their own coins, right? And their coins linked up to the transaction, period. So no room for any fraud anymore.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next.
Today's show is brought to you by U.S. Gold Corp. U.S. Gold Corp is a U.S.-focused gold exploration and development company advancing high-potential projects in Wyoming and Nevada. U.S. Gold Corp has consolidated a district on Nevada's productive Cortex Trend and is advancing the Copper King project towards production in Wyoming, led by a team of prolific company builders and renowned explorers, including Dave Mathewson, who is directly responsible for several major Nevada gold discoveries. U.S. Gold Corp is well-capitalized and has an extremely tight share structure with less than $20 million million shares outstanding and trades on the NASDAQ, a major exchange under the ticker symbol USAU. To learn more, go to usgoldcorp.gold. That's usgoldcorp.gold.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Exactly. And the rumor has it that eBay will be announcing some sort of currency, or at least allowing cryptocurrencies as a form of payment on their site in the near future. So further adoption, like I mentioned with the Facebook utilizing cryptocurrency, eBay and these other sites utilizing it, I think it's all going to kind of go back into Bitcoin. And that's why the $10,000 market is going to be really interesting to watch, is along with this adoption increase and then speculation on price, I think it really puts $20,000 back on the books in terms of what we can expect Bitcoin.
Well, I'm going to go out on the line and say I don't think that Bitcoin is going to be the eventual beneficiary of all this, because I think Bitcoin's got like a lot of vulnerabilities and weaknesses. I think there's probably a new currency on the horizon we don't even know about, going to address a lot of its weaknesses and security flaws, frankly. The blockchain's immutable, but the nodes are not immutable, and they can be gotten to. There's not that many of them. So we need this kind of distributed, anonymized nodes that automatically replicate when one goes down. I don't know how it's going to work, but I could just see that the current infrastructure really never anticipated a huge attack from multiple parties, whether they be governments or private entities who are looking to profit. So that's where I see kind of the blockchain heading, is really kind of just literally up there in the cloud, but nobody even knows where it is in the cloud.
Sure. Yeah, and it's sort of the compromise with a lot of these different cryptocurrencies or blockchains. When we're looking at them, there's always a compromise between scalability and security. The same way with like your own password protection, where you're logging in your email, having two-factor authentication, having a very complex password, using different email addresses to log into different accounts. You can have something very secure to protect yourself online. At the same time, you're compromising how fast and how easy you would use and log into these different websites are. So with blockchains, we have to see the same thing. Can they do a lot of transactions per second? Or are they compromising that scalability by reducing the security associated with this blockchain? So keeping both of those sides of the coin in flux, and we're still seeing iterations of new blockchains come out that lean more on the security side or lean more on the scalability side, or some that find a good compromise between both. So we're still waiting to see who that front runner will be in the longer term. And like you said, there could be one that we don't necessarily know about or we're not talking about today, but in 4 or 5 years from now is kind of leading the charge. Yeah,
and it'll be so, everyone will say, oh, it's so obvious. Why didn't we know? How could we have missed that? That's the way it always is, really.
Yeah.
So, but, it's just really kind of amazing, though, to see how far we've come, how fast we've come in a relatively short period of time. I was telling you, Charles Nenner, who's a big market cycle forecaster, one of the most notable in the world. We've been working with him for 7-8 years now. And Charles is like, all right, we've got 10 years worth of Bitcoin data now. Now I can pretty accurately project it. And we'll see how spot on he is. We'll see if this is a market that defies projection or not. But one thing Charles said, and one thing, Taylor, that you see over and over again, is a market isn't really a market per se. It's a reflection of human emotion, human behavior, the human mind. And that really never changes, no matter how technologically advanced we get. Markets are always about psychology. They're always about emotion, the two main emotions, fear and greed. And for that reason, you have to wonder, hey, probably Bitcoin is very predictable too. I got a question for you, Taylor. The concept of having derivatives written on Bitcoin, futures contracts, what do you think that's done to the price of of Bitcoin?
I do think it's impacted the price of Bitcoin. Earlier on, when the CME and CBOE launched their futures contracts, I do think it had an impact. That was right around Bitcoin hitting its peak. And we could see some more manipulation in the market occurring because you can manipulate the price of Bitcoin by moving it on some of the exchanges that's not super liquid. So it's easy for a person with a large amount of Bitcoin to come in and manipulate the spot price of Bitcoin. And by doing so, they can actually profit on the futures contracts by pushing price up, pushing price down in the direction of their futures position. And we saw that happening a lot. We'd see contracts and positions being added onto the CME. And then following, we could potentially see a large spike in Bitcoin. So the volatility in Bitcoin would go up, depending on the side of the market. The majority was on the contract, the futures contracts. I think right now, the CBOE stopped listing the Bitcoin futures contracts. Are waiting to get better pricing data. I think there's still some issues with the exchanges that they're pulling the price from to kind of determine the contract price for the futures on CBO and CME. But for now, CME is the only one kind of continuing with the Bitcoin contract. So I think it has a lower effect today than it did last year this time.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Well, we're going to see what happens here. It's a fascinating thing to watch. It's kind of like watching a new market born, come out of nothing and mature. It's a lot like having a child.
Yeah,
you don't know how it's going to turn out, no matter how much love and care you give it, you provide it, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, I like one of my favorite comparisons with cryptocurrency and blockchain is sort of comparing it to like social media, the network effects of like Facebook or MySpace or Twitter, and the growth that they've seen. You're talking about how there's a lot of psychology in the market, any market, and then so with cryptocurrencies. And a lot of that has to do with the network effect. More people start using it, then more people, the adoption continues to kind of exponentially grow.
Yeah.
So we had MySpace originally being the leader in social media after some other smaller ones came on board, and then eventually MySpace filled out and then kind of stopped growing. And so we may see that with Bitcoin. It could be the MySpace cryptocurrencies, and then we'll see the Facebook, the Twitter, the Instagram, the Snapchat, whatever come out in the future that starts pulling in that larger network effect and larger adoption. Simply because MySpace was first doesn't mean it was the worst, but it was first to market. The network effect allowed the other ones to flourish, and so that might be what we're visualizing or visually seeing with Bitcoin.
Yeah, it might very well be the case. So people want to find out more about you, Taylor, connect with you on the web. Where is the best place to reach out to you at?
Yeah, on Twitter, I'm at Letterman, or you can come to our website, simplertrading.com, and we teach everything from trading options to cryptocurrencies. All
right. Hey, well, always a pleasure having you on, and let's see where Bitcoin heads up to now. We'll talk to you again soon. Thanks so much. Hey, questions, comments, email is kl@kerrylutz.com. Don't forget the contest. If you get closer to me, come July 20th on the price of Bitcoin, I'm predicting 66.50. You get closer to me, your first place, 25 pre-1965 quarters. The next 5 people who get closer to me but come in after will each get a pre-1965 dime. Email address kl@kerrylutz.com. Hey, Twitter feed, like I said, @KerryLutz. Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Taylor, thanks so much for coming on. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thank you.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.